Hello and welcome to another episode of Inner Magic Podcast. Today I want to talk about our purpose. It's something that not only we all do carry in us, this desire to live our purpose, but in a way, looking at the bigger picture, we almost don't have a right not to live it. Purpose is not something that comes from the outside. It's something that gradually reveals itself through the way we live, through our decisions, through the courage to be who we truly are. And besides, of course, working with me, for me, the most powerful path and the way of discovering one's purpose, it's actually through Western esoteric hermetic philosophy. Because it not only gives us the answer to that question, what is my purpose, but also guides us in that direction, and it shapes us into the people who are able to live this purpose. And some people might say that this is actually a spiritual path. But for me, living our purpose actually is a spiritual path. Not in a sense of some grand idea or theory, but in a sense of our daily life. Because purpose stops being an idea the moment we begin to live it. We begin to live in alignment with who we truly are. So maybe the most accurate way to say it would be that not everyone who searches for the purpose, it's on a spiritual path, but everyone who lives their purpose and who lives authentically will sooner or later find themselves on one. And what is interesting is that through this philosophy, even before we truly admit to ourselves what is our purpose, and before we have this courage to take steps to be who we truly are, everything that is not in alignment with us, and everything that is slowing us down and it's on our way, in a way, slowly begins to live our lives. Because this is its tendency. Its tendency is to take away what does not belong to us, not to give us what many would say and think, but to take away. And on this path, we begin to ask ourselves some very important questions, like how to be a good person, how to be a good parent, a leader, a doctor, an entrepreneur. What are my true values? What is that I truly want to live? Not just do, but live. Because being only rational and only logical, it's important, of course, but it's not enough. It's not enough to satisfy our human nature, because there is so much more to us than that. And that something more, it's exactly what we begin to experience when we start living our purpose. And in today's world, we often try to imitate what has been presented to us as a success, like having a good career, a status, money, a certain lifestyle. But the true question is, what is that makes me truly happy? Because sometimes we look at the people living on a distant islands, on walking barefoot and living very simply, only with the essentials. And yet they often seem calmer and more fulfilled than many people who are considered successful by those society standards. And that actually reminds us that success is not the same thing as a fulfillment. And one of the most important elements on this part is trust. Trust to ourselves, trust in life, and trusting in a process. Because trusting yourself and trusting life means living with ease. It doesn't mean everything will always be simple, but it means knowing that you are exactly where you need to be and that every step has its place in your growth. And recently I had a dream in which I received a very clear explanation of everything that had happened to me over the past few months and even years. And everything was making sense. And that feeling of security that comes when we understand everything, not only on a mental but also with the entire whole being, that is a state that we could call a bliss. And that is not something reserved for special moments or for special people. It's a state we can live every day once we have this trust in life. So we all know this saying, ask and it shall be given to you. But there is another one also, be careful what you wish for. And that is often where we get stuck, because we don't really know what we want. Or we know what we want and we want a change, but we don't want the consequences that comes with this change. We want a new life, but we don't want to let go of our old habits. And so perhaps the most important question we can ask ourselves, it's actually very simple. It's, what is that you truly want? What does your life look like when you live in alignment with yourself? And if you feel that the time has come to dedicate yourself more seriously to your purpose and being who you truly are, down below it's a link where you can schedule a call, and together we can explore where you are right now and what your next step might be. So that's all from me for today. Until next episode, I wish you a wonderful day. Bye for now.